Elon Musk stunned to see black homeless woman his son brought wearing Millionaire's necklace. Mark Donovan stepped out of the glass doors of his high-rise office, leather briefcase swinging in hand, breath puffing out in the cold morning air. His world was sharp and clean. Steel, glass, clicks of heels and suits. But then, just off the sidewalk, something caught his eye. A black woman, wrapped in ragged layers, stood there, eyes steady despite the biting wind. In her hand, she held tight the hand of a small boy, maybe 6 or 7, his clothes worn, but his face bright with a strange kind of pride. Around his neck hung a necklace, heavy with gold and diamonds, glittering fiercely against the dull grays of the city. Mark's heart slammed. That necklace! His throat tightened. He'd seen that emblem before. The symbol of one of the most legendary tech billionaires in history. A piece so rare and priceless, it belonged in boardrooms, not on a scruffy boy. The buzz of disbelief hit H. Is that real? Why would a homeless kid have something like that? Eyes darted, lips murmured rumors, heads shook. People stared, but no one moved closer. Mark's fingers curled instinctively around the briefcase as he forced himself forward. The woman's eyes met his, calm, tired, but something burning inside. "This necklace," she said quietly, voice steady but layered with a deep pain. "It's not about money. It's about what we survive. About rising from somewhere no one sees to somewhere real. It's the story of strength, of fight." Her words hit Mark harder than he expected. His skin prickled, and a lump filled his throat. Here stood the symbol of his world, a symbol of wealth, power, success, worn by someone he never dreamed. And yet, that woman carried the necklace like armor, not a reminder of fortune lost, but a badge of resilience. The city noise faded under the weight of the moment. Mark swallowed hard. His mind raced with images. His endless meetings, the ruthless scramble for promotion, the hollow dinners he barely remembered. But then a sharp sting from behind snapped him back. A smirking voice called out, a rival from his own company, eyes glittering with malice. Whispers about exploiting Mark's shaky image were already spreading. Someone ready to use this moment, twist it, turn it for their own gain. Mark's chest tightened. His mind reeled again when the boy tugged at his mother's sleeve and whispered something so quiet that most missed it. A revelation. A connection Mark never suspected. A secret thread linking this woman, this child, to a long-forgotten project Mark had buried away, marked a failure. He blinked, heart thrumming fast. Was this chance or a trap? Desire warred with duty, ambition wrestled with conscience. The world seemed to hold its breath around him, watching, waiting to judge. Mark's gaze flicked back to the necklace. It gleamed with quiet promise and fierce challenge. Could he really change? Could he turn away from the climb and reach out to those left behind? But what would that cost him? The cold pressed in again. The crowd's whispers sharpened like knives. His eyes scanned the faces, some hopeful, others cruel. And somewhere in the shifting crowd, Mark felt the unmistakable weight of unseen eyes. Watching, waiting, judging. Could he redefine what success really means? Or would that path tear everything apart first? That question buzzed in his chest like an unrelenting storm, leaving Mark frozen on the sidewalk, caught between the world he knew and an unknown future that was begging him to leap. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Mark stood frozen, the world around him a blur. The necklace caught the morning light, a trap of glistening gold and diamonds. The weight of its implications sank into him like a cold stone. All eyes were on the boy, on the mom, on him. Would he reach out and take a chance, or would he turn away? But before he could decide, a scream shattered the air. It pierced through the low hum of the crowd like a knife. Mark jolted, his heart racing. He turned towards the sound, instincts honed from years in the corporate jungle kicking in. Panic erupted, a rush of bodies. The crowd shifted. What was happening? Look out! Someone yelled, voice trembling. The woman's grip on the boy tightened. Mark's breath hitched as he scanned the chaos. A flash! A figure sprinted past him, too fast to identify. A backpack flailed wildly on their back, the motion frantic, desperate. Another scream cut through the noise. A woman near the entrance of a cafe stumbled, clutching her phone. Then suddenly, the figure halted just a few feet away. It swung around, revealing a panic-stricken face, eyes wide with something that looked like fear. Or was it recognition? Mark squinted, trying to piece it together. His heart raced, not from the chaos, but from familiarity. He knew that face. Somehow, it drew him in. The tension around him thickened, the air electric. The crowd rippled, whispers of recognition tumbling through like wildfire. You were... One voice broke through, confused, shocked. A man shook his head, eyes darting. Murmurs picked up again. Aren't you the one from the news? Mark's mind scrambled. Memories flooded back. Past scandals, rumors, a fall from grace that had rocked not only his career, but the entire company. It was her, the woman from the headlines, the whistleblower who had once worked for his firm, exposing corruption. She'd vanished. No one knew where she had gone, but now she was here. The crowd surged, hesitant but hungry for drama. Mark's stomach twisted. How had she ended up here at the same moment he was? A wave of disbelief washed over him. Did the boy know who she was? What's happening? He muttered, glancing between the two women, the homeless mother with the gleaming necklace, and the woman from his past, the one he had long tried to forget. The homeless woman's eyes flickered with something fierce. "You don't understand," she said. But Mark barely heard her. He could see the panic behind her calmness. The unknown woman shouted back, "You think it's over? You think it's done? Stop!" Mark shouted, but his voice was lost in the tension. Then, just like that, it all exploded. A shriek pierced through as the woman lunged towards the boy. But before she could reach him, The golden necklace from the boy's neck flew off, clattering to the ground. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Time slowed. Mark's heart pounded as everyone's focus shifted. The necklace rolled, catching glimmers of sunlight. No longer just a token of resilience, it hinted at something much deeper, something life-changing. The homeless woman's face twisted in fear, and Mark felt the ground shift beneath him. In that moment, he wasn't just standing on the sidewalk anymore. He was staring into a whirlwind of past and present, drawn into a scandal far bigger than he ever imagined. Secrets began to unravel, and every question he had, every hesitation, ignited a firestorm of uncertainty. The screams faded, replaced by a heavy silence, thick with anticipation. What would he do next? What was this connection? Mark realized with a shuddering breath, this was just the beginning. Mark stood on the freezing sidewalk, heart hammering, thoughts colliding. The crowd pulsed around him, faces shifting, breaths held. He felt those unseen eyes waiting to judge. But behind the tension, something deeper stirred, a current he needed to grasp. "Mark!" A voice sliced through the air, sharp and loud. It belonged to his coworker Hannah. She pushed through the murmurs, a storm of tension, and her face was flushed. Urgency slathered across her features. "You need to see this." His eyes lingered on the woman and the boy. Then with a reluctant heartbeat, he turned toward Hannah. "What?" "There's a live feed," she interrupted, nearly dragging him back toward the building. "You won't believe it." As they slipped into the office lobby, the light changed. The chatter faded, the world falling away. Hannah led Mark toward the glass wall that overlooked a buzzing crowd below. A room full of his colleagues had gathered near a massive screen. The room electrically charged. "What's happening?" Mark demanded, voice tense. But the answer came crashing down in real time. On the big screen, shots flickered, an emergency broadcast, sirens blaring across the city. "Breaking news! A high-profile lawmaker has been discovered to have connections to illicit financial schemes targeting vulnerable communities." Mark's stomach plummeted as faces flashed on screen. His boss, his mentor, sat grinning, but the woman beside him made Mark's heart press painfully in his chest. It was her, the woman from outside. Wait, he couldn't believe what he saw. That necklace around the boy's neck shimmered, a symbol of wealth and power now entangled in scandal. "She's connected?" Hannah leaned closer, whispering. They were caught together. Apparently, she's been involved in some kind of charity work that, well, it might be more than that. There are allegations of something darker. Mark felt a wave of nausea wash over him, reality twisted in layers. The woman outside, a figure of resilience, now entangled in corruption? This wasn't possible. He had seen strength in her eyes. They held depth. Could it all be a facade? The room buzzed with disbelief. Colleagues exchanged shocked whispers, eyes darting. "How? Why?" Mark staggered back, trying to make sense of it. For every moment he had struggled to climb the corporate ladder, she had fought to survive. But now they were connected through this abysmal news, her past whispering in the echoes of his present. Just then, the broadcast flashed a photo of the boy, innocent, caught in the turmoil. Inocente bystander de screen red. Un rablingo conexiones lidera de bastantes implicaciones. Personas están diciendo que el neglete fue un hermoso multistemalcac. Una forma de mantenerse su leal. Mark's body felt tight. Unseen eyes, staring judging eyes from the crowd below, lingered on him. The footage continued, showing protesters outside the lawmaker's office. Faces twisted in rage, banners shouting demands for justice. The ripple effect of this reveal spread across lives he hadn't known were woven together. "Mark," Hannah's voice trembled. "What does this mean for us?" He stared at the screen, his heart torn. Which version of the woman was real? Was she a beacon of hope or an architect of betrayal? Could he still reach out, or was the space between them poisoned? The room buzzed, heavy with anticipation, a storm now brewing. Mark felt like he was standing at a precipice, caught in a moment, the churning unknown whispering in his ear. And somewhere in the chaos, the necklace glimmered, still heavy with secrets yet to be uncovered. Mark stood on the edge of chaos, heart racing, eyes glued to the screen as a different present blared in vibrant colors. The news anchor's voice felt like a drum, pounding the realities he hadn't fully grasped. How could she be connected? What truths lurked behind her calm facade? Hannah tensed beside him, her eyes darting over Mark's shoulder, waiting. They needed answers, but the questions twisted deeper inside. The uproar outside echoed through the lobby. Mark had to know. Before he could respond, a loud crash rang from the outside, jolting the crowd gathered around the screen. Everyone turned, startled. Distracted murmurs morphed into gasps. "What was that?" someone shouted, eyes wide, spilling fear into the room. Mark found himself instinctively moving towards the glass doors, tugging Hannah along. The air felt charged, thick with anxiety, and as they stumbled outside, reality shifted again. Shouts erupted. The weight of confusion washed over them as a crowd surged, pushing back like a wave. A figure stumbled through, adrenaline-fueled panic written on their face. Someone had kicked over a trash can. Garbage scattered everywhere. "Is she okay?" Mark shouted, spotting the woman from the news, a frazzled breath of the past. Just then, the crowd parted. The homeless woman and the boy at the center of it all were backing away in shock. The necklace, it lay gleaming on the pavement, reflecting urgency in the chaos. Mark's eyes locked on the boy, confusion morphing quickly into horror as he noticed something. A glint in the boy's hand, a small, ornate key shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Panic didn't just ripple, it struck. Mark's chest tightened. "What is that?" Before anyone could react, the boy raised the key high, eyes wide and fierce. "It was in the necklace," he yelled, voice surprisingly strong against the swirling noise. "It's ours!" The crowd fell silent, attention zeroed in on him, confusion hanging thick in the air. The homeless woman's expression shifted from fear to intensity, cheeks flushed red. "No, put it down," she shouted. Mark froze, mouth dry. What connection lay twisted within that key? What possibilities? Not far from them, the chaotic crowd stilled. Whispers of recognition hung in the air. Others had seen the same thing. Those eyes, reflecting horror and realization. They traced back to the woman whose truth had long been buried, the whistleblower who'd known hidden truths. Just then, voices surfaced. "That key can expose everything!" A voice cried out from the back. "We'll leak it, and the whole scandal will crumble!" Mark's heart sank as the weight landed on him. The implications were staggering. Who had the key, the child or the mother? The air hardened like ice as urgency flashed across everyone's faces. Questions buzzed. Was the boy an unwilling pawn? Or did he know more? Mark looked at the homeless woman, her defenses stripped bare. The strength she had wielded just moments ago faltered. Then, another scream broke through the air. A shadowy figure slipped from the crowd, darting toward the gold necklace on the ground. Everyone pivoted, eyes wide. "Get away from that!" a voice yelled. But it was too late. With a flick of the wrist, the figure grabbed the necklace and disappeared into the masses, leaving stunned silence behind. Mark felt the ground beneath him shift, reality spiraling. One moment could rewrite everything. Questions bombarded him. What secrets lay within that key now lost? Who truly held the power? He took a deep breath, heart pounding. The stakes had never been higher. What would he do next? The answers awaited, buried deep in the tangled web of connections he could hardly understand. Mark stood frozen, the weight of the moment crushing him. He felt the hum of uncertainty crackling in the air, pulling at him. That necklace gleamed with unspoken promises, but the piercing whispers of the crowd cut like a blade. Everyone was watching. Tension hung between them, thick as fog. Then it happened. A sudden commotion erupted just beyond the gathering. A loud crash shattered the tension, followed by a woman's sharp scream. Everyone turned. Mark's heart raced. From the direction of the noise, two officers burst through the crowd, their uniforms stark against the muted gray of the city. They moved with urgency, pushing past onlookers. Before Mark could process it, one of the officers pointed directly at the woman he had been staring at, the black woman with the boy. "Cynthia Blake!" the officer shouted, causing the crowd to recoil in a mixture of shock and fascination. "You are under arrest for fraud and forgery." The woman's face twisted in confusion and fear. "What? No, this is a mistake." She pulled the boy close, his small body trembling against hers. Mark could see the tears welling in her eyes, a look of terror that gripped his chest. The whispers grew to a deafening roar. "Fraud? Is she really? Forger?" The crowd surged forward, hungry for the scandal, eyes wide with a blend of horror and excitement. They watched as this crumbling moment unfolded. Mark's mind spun. Was this all a setup? The boy's expression darkened, confusion spilling into despair. "No, Mom, please!" he cried, his voice small but filled with pain. Mark felt his own heart wrenching at the sound. But it wasn't just the gravity of the accusation. It was a secret hidden beneath the surface, a torrent of truths waiting to explode. Suddenly, the boy pointed out toward the street. "You said we could go to the park, Mommy! We were almost there." His small hand shook, revealing an innocence shattered by this unexpected twist. The officer continued to approach, determination etched across his face. "You're coming with us." Mark took a step forward, wanting to intervene, but unsure how. Then he heard a low whisper from the sidelines, loud enough for him to catch. "They say she stole that baby?" Stole? In that instant, everything shifted. Mark's blood ran cold. The necklace. The child. His mind raced back to the buried project. A list of missing children involved in a dark scheme connected to powerful names in the tech industry. Had their paths crossed in a twisted web of deceit? Panic filled him. He had kicked that project to the curb, buried it under corporate strategy and ambition. But was that negligence? Or an effort to protect his own reputation? Suddenly, the air changed. In that moment, clarity pierced through the chaos. Mark realized he didn't know this woman. He didn't know her story. But lying beneath the surface, there was a truth waiting to break free, and it was up to him. Before he could decide, the boy shrieked, "Mommy, please, I love you!" Time slowed, a heartbeat, a gasp. The world shrank to that small, shattered plea. Cynthia was being pulled away, her eyes locked on Mark, as if searching for help. The crowd closed in, sniggering and jeering, but all he could feel was their weight pressing down from every side. The moment hung, charged with unspoken revelations, secrets clawing at the walls. Mark stood at the edge, breathless, torn between his life of polished ambition and the raw, unfiltered reality sprawled out before him. What did he really know? What truth could he bear to uncover? The weight of the necklace in his mind transformed, twisting into something heavier, deeper. "Mom!" A desperate cry broke from the boy as the officers pulled her away. Mark's throat tightened. He could feel the turning tide. He had a choice to make, but could he face the storm brewing ahead? Mark was still grappling with the weight of the moment. Could he redefine success? But before he could grasp his thoughts, a commotion erupted behind him. A thud, followed by a shout, cut through the tension like a knife. A man had collapsed onto the sidewalk, clutching his chest. Panic surged through the crowd. Faces turned, hands reached out, and screams filled the air. A child's voice crying out in terror. A woman gasping in disbelief. Mark's heart pounded. The crowd swarmed, pushing forward, but the woman and child stood rooted, a statue amidst the chaos. Mark's instincts screamed to help, but his feet felt glued to the ground. The collapsing man's features sharpened as the crowd parted. Familiar! It was his competitor, Doug, grinning yet cruel, always at Mark's throat in the office. Doug's face twisted in pain, eyes wide, locking onto Mark for a heartbeat that stretched like an eternity. Mark blinked, horror washing over him. Just moments ago, he felt a flicker of change stirring within him, and now this? The man gasped for air, his breath shallow and frantic. "Someone call 911!" a voice yelled, but the urgency barely registered in the chaos. Mark's mind raced. Was this a heart attack? A deeper shock rippled through the crowd. Doug had been the one who'd been spreading rumors about Mark's shaky image. The one who'd exploit this moment for his own gain. Guilt and anxiety warred within Mark. Was this a punishment from fate? As the crowd closed in, he could see Doug's face turning pale. "Help me!" the rival managed, a cry of desperation that silenced the murmurs. Something inside Mark broke open, a knot of rage mixed with empathy. But then, just as suddenly, the boy at the woman's side tugged on her sleeve again. "Mom," he whispered, voice barely audible. "Can't we help him?" Mark felt a rush. The spark of the boy's innocence hit him like a wave. But who was this child? Why did she look so composed when everything was falling apart? "I can't," the woman replied, eyes glassy, locking onto Mark, a plea hidden behind weary strength. In the chaos, Mark could feel all eyes shifting from Doug, gasping on the ground, to the attention centered on the woman with the necklace. The weight of the moment hung palpable in the air. The crowd was suddenly drawn into something bigger than they had expected. A movement. Was that a shadow? Mark turned. From the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of a silhouette lurking in the distance, face obscured by a hood. Was it watching? Was it waiting? Then, without warning, the boy let go of his mother's hand and rushed toward Doug. "Mr. Fletcher!" he called out, using the name only insiders knew. Mark's heart dropped. Fletcher? Doug was Fletcher? His competitor had a family connection he'd kept hidden, one that tethered him to the past Mark had buried. The bombshell exploded within Mark. All this time, he'd thought Doug was only a rival, but this revelation flipped everything on its head. Anger, disbelief, and unrelenting questions thrashed within him. "Bring him back, please," the boy cried, tears streaming down his cheeks, cutting through the chaos, breaking into Mark's thoughts like a scream shattering silence. Mark stood helpless. The weight of decisions and truths threatened to crush him. Here was a chance, a leap into an unseen future, the potential for change. But it came at the throes of public judgment and family secrets. Secrets that could destroy and bind. Could he walk toward the boy? Toward the truth he feared? Or would he slip back into the safety of ambition, leaving everything, everyone behind? The silence warped around him. All eyes were waiting, absorbed in the storm within his mind. Mark felt the world slip away. The boy's sobs rang clear. Could he grab hold of hope, or would the chains of his past pull him back under? Mark's heart raced as he stood there, caught in a tightening grip of circumstance. The weight of the necklace felt heavy, not just with gold, but with meaning, with choices. Suddenly, a shrill voice pierced through the tension. "Hey, show us what you've got!" A group of young men surged forward, their laughter harsh and cutting. They shuffled closer, eyes gleaming with mischief, ignorance boiling under the surface. Mark instinctively stepped back, but the woman tightened her grip on the boy, a shield against the impending chaos. "Get out of here," one of them taunted, pointing at the boy, his words laced with malice. The crowd shifted, phones raised, eager to capture the scene. In that instant, something broke inside Mark. That choice, the potential, the starkness of it all, it felt like a dam bursting. He moved toward the boy and the woman, protectively placing himself between them and the advancing threat. "Leave them alone!" His voice rang out, firmer than he felt. But just then, the boy tugged at the woman's sleeve, whispering fiercely, "Mom, tell him!" The crowd fell silent, leaning in, waiting for the revelation. The tension thickened, like a tightrope stretched too far. With a deep breath, the woman straightened her shoulders. "The necklace, it belongs to him," she murmured, gaze steady. "He's not just a homeless child. He's my son. And he's your son, too. Gasps echoed, confusion of fog rolling through the crowd. Mark staggered, shocked, hot in his throat. Time froze. The truth hit like a freight train. The necklace, a twisted symbol of his own existence, was now woven into a family tie he never knew existed. A quick glance at the boy, those familiar eyes, suddenly filled with something deeper than pride. Recognition spiraled through Mark's mind. This wasn't just a chance encounter. It was a challenge to his very identity. Impossible, he stammered, struggling to find words as whispers swirled around him. You can't! But the boy held up a hand, and the silence returned, powerful. I know you, Dad. You just did not want to see me. Mark's chest tightened, breath catching. The little boy, his son, dared to call him that, and the world around them held its breath. The crowd, silent now, was transformed. A heartbeat passed. Then the smirking rival from his company broke the silence, pushing forward with a menacing grin. This is gold, Mark. You wanted a scandal? You just found it, he sneered, capturing the moment, eager to twist this revelation into a weapon. Emotions surged through Mark. Anger, fear, and shame coiled tightly in his gut. That necklace, no longer just a prize of success, had flipped his life upside down, unraveling the fabric of ambition. Mark's gaze shot back to the crowd. They were judging. Eyes flickered between disbelief and sympathy. Some whispered concern, others delight in the mess unfolding. The boy, with his fierce grip on the necklace, stood tall, defiance radiant on his small frame. And the woman, once a stranger, now stood beside him, her eyes blazing with resolve, unearthing hidden truths. Mark, she said, voice steady, this isn't just about you or me. This is about us, choosing who we really want to be. Was this the moment of reckoning? The possibility of change, so utterly terrifying? And within the chaos of realization, Mark felt a stirring deep within. A yearning for connection, for family, for a chance to rewrite his story. But would the cost of that journey tear apart everything he had built? As silence enveloped them, a new, turbulent storm began to brew, leaving Mark spiraled at the center, caught between past and an uncertain future. Mark stood frozen, though suddenly a shrill voice pierced through the tension. Hey, show us what you've got. A group of young men surged forward, their laughter harsh and cutting. They shuffled closer, eyes gleaming with mischief, ignorance boiling under the surface. Mark instinctively stepped back, but the woman tightened her grip on the boy, a shield against the impending chaos. Get out of here, one of them taunted, pointing at the boy, his words laced with malice. The crowd shifted, phones raised, eager to capture the scene. In that instant, something broke inside Mark. The choice, the potential, the starkness of it all. It felt like a dam bursting. He moved toward the boy and the woman, protectively placing himself between them and the advancing threat. Leave them alone! His voice rang out, firmer than he felt. But just then, the boy tugged at the woman's sleeve, whispering fiercely, Mom, tell him! The crowd fell silent, leaning in, waiting for the revelation. The tension thickened, like a tightrope stretched too far. With a deep breath, the woman straightened her shoulders. The necklace! It belongs to him, she murmured, gaze steady. "He's not just a homeless child. He's my son. And he's your son too." Gasps echoed, confusion of fog rolling through the crowd. Mark staggered, shocked, heart in his throat. Time froze. The truth hit like a freight train. The necklace, a twisted symbol of his own existence, was now woven into a family tie he never knew existed. A quick glance at the boy, those familiar eyes, suddenly filled with something deeper than pride. Recognition spiraled through Mark's mind. This wasn't just a chance encounter. It was a challenge to his very identity. "Impossible," he stammered, struggling to find words as whispers swirled around him. "You can't." But the boy held up a hand, and the silence returned, powerful. "I know you, Dad. You just did not want to see me." Mark's chest tightened, breath catching. The little boy, his son, dared to call him that, and the world around them held its breath. The crowd, silent now, was transformed. A heartbeat passed. Just then, a loud crash erupted from behind Mark. A figure stumbled into the street, desperation etched on their face. It was Doug, the man who had just collapsed. His eyes darted, wild with fear. "No!" he shouted, voice cracking. "You don't understand!" The crowd shifted, drawn to Doug's outburst. "What are you doing here?" Mark called, but Doug fell to his knees, panic riding him hard. "They're coming for me!" He glanced back over his shoulder, face pale, eyes wide. "I didn't mean to! I swear it was all a mistake!" The words tumbled out, frantic and frenetic. Then a deep rumble echoed, a shadow sweeping through. A black van screeched to a halt. Dark figures leapt out, wearing shadows of authority and threats. "We're here for you, Fletcher," they yelled, their tones steely. The crowd gasped collectively, confusion morphing into electric fear. Doug scrambled to his feet, stumbling backward. "No, Just then, a bright flash went off near the van, a blinding light that sent everyone into chaos. It flashed like an explosion. Mark shielded his eyes, panic rising. In that moment, uncertainty wrapped around him like chains. When the light faded, Doug lay on the ground, still, breathless. The reality hit hard. They'd shot him. "Our time is up," the figure said, stepping forward with cruel confidence. "This is not for you to claim, kid," they added, looking at the boy. "You don't know what you've gotten into." Mark's heart raced. Everything shifted and crumbled at once. Doug's ties, his secrets, this entire moment had unspooled, unraveling truths more devastating than he could have imagined. Around him, the crowd dissolved into chaos, screams ripping through as people scrambled for safety. Mark felt a hollow ache settling in. He looked at the mother and her son, this unexpected family, and then back to Doug's crumpled form, shock coursing through him. "Everything is connected, Mark," the woman said, her eyes wide. "You're part of this, whether you like it or not." And just like that, Mark's entire world transformed, spiraling out of control. The choices before him morphed like smoke, uncertain and chilling. Could he find his way through this? Or would he be swallowed whole by the secrets that loomed larger than life itself? Mark stood frozen, the weight of the moment crushing him. The necklace felt heavy, not just with gold, but with meaning, with choices. Suddenly, a shrill voice pierced through the tension. "Hey, show us what you've got!" A group of young men surged forward, their laughter harsh and cutting. They shuffled closer, eyes gleaming with mischief. Ignorance boiling under the surface. Mark instinctively stepped back, but the woman tightened her grip on the boy, a shield against the impending chaos. "Get out of here," one of them taunted, pointing at the boy, his words laced with malice. The crowd shifted, phones raised, eager to capture the scene. In that instant, something broke inside Mark. The choice, the potential, the starkness of it all. It felt like a dam bursting. He moved toward the boy and the woman, protectively placing himself between them and the advancing threat. "Leave them alone," his voice rang out, firmer than he felt. But just then, the boy tugged at the woman's sleeve, whispering fiercely, "Mom, tell him!" The crowd fell silent, leaning in, waiting for the revelation. The tension thickened, like a tightrope stretched too far. With a deep breath, the woman straightened her shoulders. "The necklace. It belongs to him," she murmured, gaze steady. "He's not just a homeless child. He's my son, and he's your son too." Gasps echoed, confusion a fog rolling through the crowd. Mark staggered, shocked, heart in his throat. Time froze. The truth hit like a freight train. The necklace, a twisted symbol of his own existence, was now woven into a family tie he never knew existed. A quick glance at the boy, those familiar eyes, suddenly filled with something deeper than pride. Recognition spiraled through Mark's mind. This wasn't just a chance encounter. It was a challenge to his very identity. "Impossible," he stammered, struggling to find words as whispers swirled around him. "You can't." But the boy held up a hand, and the silence returned, powerful. "I know you, Dad. You just did not want to see me." Mark's chest tightened, breath catching. The little boy, his son, dared to call him that, and the world around them held its breath. The crowd, silent now, was transformed. A heartbeat passed. Just then, a loud crash erupted from behind Mark. A figure stumbled into the street. Desperation etched on their face. It was Doug, the man who had just collapsed. His eyes darted, wild with fear. "No," he shouted, voice cracking. "You don't understand." The crowd shifted, drawn to Doug's outburst. "What are you doing here?" Mark called, but Doug fell to his knees, panic riding him hard. "I didn't mean to. I swear, it was all a mistake." The words tumbled out, frantic and frenetic. Then a deep rumble echoed, a shadow sweeping through. A black van screeched to a halt. Dark figures leapt out, wearing shadows of authority and threats. "We're here for you, Fletcher," they yelled, their tones steely. The crowd gasped collectively, confusion morphing into electric fear. Doug scrambled to his feet, stumbling backward. "No, I—" Just then, a bright flash went off near the van, a blinding light that sent everyone into chaos. It flashed like an explosion. Mark shielded his eyes, panic rising. In that moment, uncertainty wrapped around him like chains. When the light faded, Doug lay on the ground, still, breathless. The reality hit hard. They'd shot him. "Our time is up," the figure said, stepping forward with cruel confidence. "This is not for you to claim, kid," they added, looking at the boy. "You don't know what you've gotten into." Mark's heart raced. Everything shifted and crumbled at once. Doug's ties, His secrets, this entire moment had unspooled, unraveling truths more devastating than he could have imagined. Around him, the crowd dissolved into chaos, screams ripping through as people scrambled for safety. Mark felt a hollow ache settling in. He looked at the mother and her son, this unexpected family, and then back to Doug's crumpled form, shock coursing through him. "Everything is connected, Mark," the woman said, her eyes wide. "You're part of this, whether you like it or not." And just like that, Mark's entire world transformed, spiraling out of control. The choices before him morphed like smoke, uncertain and chilling. Could he find his way through this? Or would he be swallowed whole by the secrets that loomed larger than life itself? Just as Mark's thoughts swirled, the boy gasped, eyes wide. "Mom, look!" Mark turned to see what the boy was pointing at. The necklace glowed, pulsing with an unearthly light, illuminating the street as if revealing hidden truths. Suddenly, the ground shook, and a deafening roar filled the air. A portal torn open in the fabric of reality. Everything came crashing down. The hit of chaos exploded around them, debris flying, screams mingling with an unholy wind. Mark grabbed the boy and the woman, pulling them close. "We have to go." But what lay before them? With a force stronger than the crowd's chaos, the portal yawned wider, swallowing them whole. And then, darkness. Mark felt the pull of darkness, sucking him into an abyss. He held tight to the boy and the woman, fear coursing through him like ice. Was this the end? Or a new beginning? Suddenly, the blinding light flickered, then faded, leaving them in an unfamiliar space. Dust hung in the air, and they stood on what looked like an abandoned street. Vibrant colors swirling around them. Shadows danced across the walls, whispers echoing like ghosts of the past. Mark blinked. The landscape shifted. Buildings from his childhood blurred with the chaos outside. Memories flashing before his eyes, mixing with the reality of the moment. He could see the boy's face, confusion battling with bravery. "Where are we?" the boy whispered. The woman knelt beside him, her voice soothing yet strong. "We're somewhere new, somewhere we can find the truth." Her eyes glimmered with determination, courage igniting a spark that Mark desperately wished to grasp. But that warmth felt distant, fading as the chaos from their old world loomed large. They had escaped one nightmare. But was this place any better? The portal had shown them something deeper, but reality clawed at Mark's mind. Shadows moved in the corners, whispers piercing through the thick air. "Mom?" The boy trembled, his small voice breaking the thick silence. "Are we safe?" Mark felt a lump rising in his throat. How could he promise safety when he wasn't sure if he could even save himself? Then he thought of Doug, crumpled on the pavement, and the mysterious connection he never understood. The chaotic world outside hadn't just pulled them apart, it had twisted their very identities into knots. Before he could respond, the shadows thickened, folding over them like storm clouds. It was all pressing down, suffocating kindness and hope. Suddenly, an echo of laughter rang out, eerily familiar. A figure emerged from the haze, grinning with a cruel smirk that cut through the air like a knife. It was Doug, standing strong, alive, but in an otherworldly guise. You thought you could escape? You're tangled, Mark. All of us are. Mark's heart raced, eyes darting to the woman and her son. They were tangled. He could feel it. "Why are you here?" Mark yelled, anger mixing with disbelief. "Because you need to choose," Doug murmured, slowly walking closer. The shadows shifting around him. "Choose who you want to be when this all falls apart." A ripple of dread washed over Mark. "What do you mean?" "Connections matter, Mark," Doug all but laughed. "Choose wisely or lose everything." The boy's hand squeezed his mom's, innocence clashing with the dark tension. "Dad," he cried, "I want to go home." Mark's breath hitched. Home? The boy didn't even know what home was. He looked from Doug to the boy, realization striking him with force. "Is that what you want then? To leave?" The shadows swirled tighter, and Doug grinned wider. "You don't get to decide that." Mark clenched his fists, frustration boiling over. "I will decide. I won't let you control us." Amid the swirling chaos, he stepped closer to the boy and woman, determination flooding his veins. "We will find our own way." They needed to act together. This tangle of fates, the secrets they uncovered, it wasn't just about ambition anymore. It was about family, truth, and resilience. Mark took a deep breath, and as the shadows closed in, he felt something shift inside him. Was it hope? Or maybe a spark of courage? The boy looked up, eyes wide and trusting. "Together," Mark whispered. "Yes," the woman agreed, her voice fierce and steady. "No more fear. We move forward." But would they truly escape the shadows? The air crackled as Mark reached for the necklace, feeling its pulse resonate with a strength he hadn't realized existed. Could they turn this moment into something powerful? Just then, the darkness surged forward, but they didn't falter. Fists clenched, hearts racing, they faced the shadows that loomed over them. Mark's heart thundered as they readied themselves for whatever lay ahead. Would they embrace the journey, even with the dark secrets waiting to be unveiled? Would they finally discover who they really were? Don't you dare miss this rush of storytelling. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that red subscribe button immediately to stay updated on all the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now. It's crucial for the algorithm to keep these narratives alive. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories. What do you think is going to happen next? Your voice matters, so make it heard. And for goodness sake, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who needs to experience this wild ending. Don't wait even a second longer to share. Show your love for the community and support these stories that bring us all together.